Hello, everybody, and welcome to Indie Work Live. Today is Thursday, April 11th. Yeah, I'm going Philadelphia Phillies today. I decided to go that route. Kind of cool. So a couple things here. This is the first week where we've had more than one guest on shows. So the shows run, usually they're like 30 minutes or so. So these run maybe a tiny bit longer. But you get like a double hit. It's the greatest thing ever. So we're very stoked about that. We have two wonderful guests. Well, three technically, two wonderful companies, agencies, creative folk that we'll bring on here in a second. Next week, we're traveling. So we will be in Louisville for the Amen conference. Thank you to Amen for bringing us to Louisville. I will also do a little road trip where I will be going to Lexington, Kentucky to see our good friends at Cornet. And then off to Cincinnati, see a few folks in Cincinnati, and then fly home. Seattle to Portland if you care. The next week, we will have some pre-recorded stuff, but it's all very good. So Luis Camano, a great creative leader out of Los Angeles. He's going to be talking about WTF creative bias. So we're going to dig into that. And then on Wednesday, Meet an Indie Agency is Fuse Create. And then we've got agencies and marketers together. First, Miquel's and Oberland, and then Lastoria and Boom Supersonic. We talk about some of the work. And then we will do we'll do a Liar Liar next week. We'll do that from the hotel in Cincinnati. So we're still looking for some guinea pigs. No, I mean contestants for that. So one of the things that we pride ourselves on is being a responsive organization. All right, this is going to be really silly and stupid, but I mean that's my deal, right? So like we're doing like merch. I love making merch because it's just silly. It's just fun. And here's our latest. It's our Louisiana inspired Indie AF bucket hat. You got a couple pelicans, you got shrimp, and you got crawfish. This is so dumb. So let's bring in our friends from Louisiana because 368 out of Baton Rouge, they are our they're Indie Agency News members. So thank you, number one, for your membership. Thank you for your support of the mission. And there you go. A terrible bucket hat for you. Adrian, you're on mute. I'll unmute you. There you unmute yourself.
I said I feel like that hat is so dumb, but I love it.
See, that's yeah. But I mean, I had to do something.
Yeah.
I was looking at the flag, and like we were able to do it with the California flag. It made sense. I'm looking at the Oregon flag, but there's some font issues there. We're dealing with font issues, as it were. So this one, I just said, you know what? Let's just be corny. So, but first of all, again, thank you so much for your support of the mission. And we Kenny and I go back. I can't remember when I met Kenny. Kenny Nguyen, founder of the agency. It's you guys just do so. One of the things that was really interesting to me is we were on an all members call once, and Kenny was part of it, and I think there was someone else from the team on as well. And we were talking about, and one of the things that we ask for Meet an Indie Agency is what you believe your agency's core strengths are. And here's like the sneaky thing about 368. So sneaky number one, Baton Rouge, right? Not necessarily like the traditional market. Number two, a lot of talent, LSU there. Angel Reese fan, thank you. But number two, this agency is super, super strong in web and app development. And when I talk about development, it's that nerdy stuff that powers a lot of interest, very, very interesting stuff. So who wants to take this one? I'm curious about how that muscle was built from the beginning.
Well, I was about to jump in and say Jeremy's also a co-founder of the company.
Oh yeah, sorry, my bad. Did I say founder? I meant co-founder.
Yeah. So, well, and so I think that's an interesting perspective on how it got started. So Jeremy, take that.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll talk about the founding and how we got the strength or some chops in software. Yeah. I mean, very long story short, the company is owned by myself, Kenny, and Nick DeFelice, who's the third
Oh,
partner.
right. Yep.
Mhm.
And Nick is a pure developer. And when we started this company, the company originally started as a web shop, and Kenny had a presentation agency, and we merged back in 2016. Our offices were 368 feet apart. So that's the backstory to the origin of the company.
Now I remember. Yep.
Yeah. And we just used like Google Maps to measure that. So don't check us on it. But yeah. But yeah, so on our end, we were a web shop, and it was in those 2010s kind of days where it seemed like everyone was trying to come up with the next app. Everyone was going to make it with the next app.
Oh my God.
So we leaned into that. That was part of the culture at the time, is like, yeah, you can build websites, but the real success stories are these people that figure out what the next app is. And
Right.
so we built that competency out. We took a few shots at making apps. We never had a hit. Turns out to be a lot harder than it looks.
Yeah.
But that's in our DNA. From day one, we've always really been sort of like product people disguised as a marketing company, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
We really like the product side of this industry, and you can see it in our work. We'll talk about Tomb Raider today, but it's built almost like a video game more than a website, and it's just part of the fabric of who we are.
Yeah, I was having this conversation with somebody recently. Remember when the iPhone first came out, and there were people that built the flashlight app for 99 cents?
Yeah.
Don't remember that.
Remember that?
Oh, that's so wild.
How much money those people probably made?
Oh, it's insane. I heard a story back then. I don't know if it's true, but somebody said there was already a Bible app, which was like the biggest app at the time.
Oh, right. Okay.
Then
Yeah.
Somebody took that and just translated it into other languages and then released that, like Spanish Bible, whatever. And it supposedly made that person very wealthy, just translating a text and posting it on the App Store. So those were the stories you were hearing at the time, all these like unicorn stories.
Hey, I mean, listen, I took an international studies paper and translated it into French. So, I mean, I get it,
Yeah, basically the same thing.
Wasn't great French, but I got a B, so I'll take it. Last term of my senior year, I'll take it.
Do you speak French?
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
nice.
Enough to get by. It's hard to practice in Portland. So
yeah, I'd imagine.
Down here, you'll get a lot more practice.
That is true, and then you got the little Creole tinge to it. So yeah. So we are here to talk about Tomb Raider. Let me pull this up because, again, you're talking about, when we look at agencies, it's like, oh, you're doing you're doing a thing, and then you go a little deeper, and it's like, oh, this is a big thing. Tomb Raider is not a small franchise. So take us back, just give us a little context into the history with the client, how long you've been with this client, and let's start with the brief, and then we'll dig into this a little bit.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, go ahead, Adrian.
You want me to start? Okay.
Yeah, Adrian spearheaded this. I'm just going to say it at the top. I like it. She bulldogged this whole thing. So
good.
Yeah. So, and please add any color you want, Jer. I will preface this by saying I'm a major gaming nerd.
Okay.
I have a technical background. I came to the agency not from the world of marketing, but from the world of philanthropy, and particularly analytics and IT and research.
Okay.
And so, and that was fueled by my love of gaming. And that's a whole other conversation we could have. So when this...
He's a world-ranked World of Warcraft player, by the way.
I was, yeah, I was.
All right.
That's a whole other conversation I could have.
Okay.
So when we got the opportunity to work with a gaming client like Tomb Raider, I had no choice but to bulldog it across the finish. Honestly, I felt like this is...
I don't like the Georgia reference, but please continue.
So that was my high school alma mater. Okay. So I'm
okay.
So long story short, they came to us with a pretty tight, or they were doing an RFP like so many people do. We typically hate RFPs, do not want to participate in them, but they were sending this to a select number of people. We thought, why not throw our hat in? This is a dream client we would love to work with. I'm just going to spoiler alert. We put a ton of effort into it, came down to the final 2, and they ended up going with a different agency.
Oh, okay.
And when they had that conversation with us, we came in and said, like, we're telling you this as your friends, you're making a mistake. Like, the things that they are telling you they can do, I think they're overpromising and under-delivering. And, this is where, Jeremy was like, you're going to regret it,
Yeah.
It was one of those situations where we were just like gutted because we knew we were the right fit for this client. And we both said, Jeremy, maybe a little bit more aggressively than me, you're going to come back. And 6 months later, they came back and they said, look, we think we made a mistake. We would love to work with you all. We would, they want us to represent the work under a different scope. And we said, no, we're going to come in and do this, we want to do this the way we want to do this. But it was a really collaborative conversation. We did come back and say, what's the MVP? They really see this as a phased project that, will continue on. But for this first version of it, what can this look like? And it was a really collaborative conversation where we were able to come in and say, our philosophy is interaction over interruption. So we believe highly interactive, highly engaging sites are what keep people there, or what are drive those behavioral changes that you're wanting to see. And so we just took that in earnest and said, like, how do we make this as authentic to the Tomb Raider brand as we can, which is all about challenge. It's all about puzzles. It's all about, evoking that sense of adventure. And it's really about ushering in, a new era for Tomb Raider that is a growing and relevant franchise. And so we were excited to have that opportunity. And Jeremy, is there anything else you'd want to throw in? I mean, the pitch process was arduous and long. I'll say that.
Sure. Yeah.
I think you nailed it. Yeah, it was, it was a passion project.
Well, the other thing too is that there is nostalgia around this franchise, and so walk us through what the elements of the project were, because it can be very easy to be so nostalgic about it you lose the opportunity to contemporize it.
I
think that's a word. But walk us through what the brief is and how you've been attacking it from here.
I will let Jeremy answer. What I'll preface it with is I have to give flowers to their team because they were really acutely aware of that. And they said, we have to pay homage to the legacy of Lara Croft and Tomb Raider, but they also see this very clear evolution of the character and its relevance and the Tomb Raider franchise in general that they continue to push us on in making it modern and relevant and engaging. And so while we champion that, absolutely, we had such a great partnership with their team on it. But Jeremy, do you want to talk a little bit about the brief?
Yeah. The brief in essence was we need to awaken the sense of adventure in the next generation of Raiders.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's clear. Thank you. Thank you, good client.
Yeah. And it's a big, lofty, we love that type of brief, something big and lofty. It's well beyond the website. It's the brand at large.
Right.
But we had the website to play with. So our response to that was, well, let's build an adventure into the web experience. And essentially, what we originally pitched was very different than where we landed. But that the whole process, which I'm sure we'll get into, was an example of a really good collaboration. Some clients are just natural collaborators and great at it. And Crystal Dynamics was an ace, in my opinion, for someone who knows how to collaborate. And that's because they're game builders and game designers,
right?
Which is sort of, a distant cousin to web and app designers.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that that idea of awakening a sense of adventure, it was something that we were all so able to get into, not only on our side, but on theirs, because we all love games too. I think that really helps. You know, we all came to it through some kind of lens of we know what it's like when you get to be fully immersed in another world and feel the challenge and enjoy the challenge.
Mm-hmm. Let me just make sure. Hold on. It just went over to the collector's bundle. Hold on. That's it. Hold on.
Good.
Yeah, I gotta share the screen again here. So let's find
Okay, yeah.
Did you get a chance to do the puzzle yet? Were you able to solve it?
We have 2 kids. No. No, I will do it though. I will do the puzzle. So no. In fact, you know what? I'm gonna make my kids do this.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
That'd be
do it.
great.
Kids are gonna do it. But you know, again, this is such a storied brand and a storied franchise. I'm curious during the process. It looked like it looks like you had a lot of latitude, but at the same time, it really looks like you, again, going back to the paying homage to the franchise and its history. Again, it can be so easy to just make this. It's such a fine line, because I look at something,
Yeah.
you know, you wouldn't even really think like, okay, this merch, but then when you start digging deeper, you start seeing the quality, you start seeing the like you see a language within something as simple as this, but it's not. I mean, it's very, very considered. So I'm curious about how everything evolved.
Yeah, I'm like, let's go back to the home screen that's actually good. Like, I mean, the collector's bundle is great, but like, you know, it's a merch job, right? Like there's some, we were able to push some boundaries beyond what we'd ever been able to do, leveraging some new tools. Jeremy, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit about just the process of the interactive.
Yeah. Well, I think Doug, you nailed it in terms of that fine line, right? Of this is a nostalgic, storied franchise with a canon and everything, and then at the same time, we come into the project or into the brand and say we need to modernize to an extent. We need to create relevancy. And what happened was our original approach, our design approach, was too departed from the brand, and so they reeled us back in. And an example of what that looked like, just so you know, the level of care that this team put into this project, is we produced a series of distressed textures that could be applied throughout the website. Different distressed tones.
Oh, interesting.
Well, we had a whole parchment paper things. We had a whole like week-long detour with their team about the difference between distressed, weathered, and ancient, and how the Tomb Raider brand is ancient.
Oh my God.
And we had to rework all those with their art team, rework all of those patterns to be historically accurate, or I guess just accurate in general to what ancient looks like versus distress.
Right.
And that was the level of care and detail that they applied to every aspect of the site, which was really cool to see and really inspiring, but also challenging, you know, for our team, who we are not video game designers. We are not experts in the details of Tomb Raider at the level that they are. Having to navigate that was, you know, part of the experience.
Yeah. If you scroll down, we had to go into, so there's this mini game element that's down here, where you're going to be prompted to unlock the tomb, unlock the vault, and you have to solve this puzzle. And then you do this by gathering relics from across the site. Okay. And even selecting the relics and identifying them was a whole lesson into the history and, you know, the timeline of Lara Croft, and
which one is it?
What felt authentic and what felt really true to the brand, you know? And so that, again, like every single detail was so intentional.
There's that one. I think I got that. Hold on. No, I'm not going to do this.
Yeah, there's a whole experience built around this.
Yeah, see, you've got to, if you scroll down.
Yeah.
There's a campfire that you can light. So again, like a reader's path is to discovery starts with a spark. And so now you've lit your torch.
Oh my gosh.
You got these relics with the torch. So you see what we mean? You got one. Perfect.
Yay, Doug. Yay, you did it. Woo!
This really is a game-like experience, and that was the inspiration going into this, was how do we bring that
Where are the rest of them?
imagery? You got to find them, Doug. Yeah. I know.
I gotta get more coffee.
Yeah.
Oh, there's one.
Oh, there's one.
Oh,
Yeah.
so I'm scrolling down. Okay, so I got it. All right. Okay. So, all right, please continue.
No, that's it. I mean, that's for us, all of those, even just like the glimmer effect, right? So that was so many conversations we had around accessibility, scalability.
Right.
How do we build this in a way that it's friendly on mobile, that it's friendly for international audiences?
Right. So so we look at that experience as well. And again, it's just like so simple and so nicely done.
Mm-hmm.
And so, God, it's just so thoughtful. It's thoughtful design. And and Adrian, I think this you have such a unique perspective on this because of your clearly world-class gaming ability, which I did not know about. You were sandbagging us. You want to play a game? It's like, no, I don't feel like losing.
That's what's, I think, so unique to Tomb Raider, is that it's not a win or lose scenario.
No, I know.
And it really is about evoking that sense of adventure. And so that's what, we would love to work with the full franchise one day on all of the cool stuff that they're doing. But the website was a great kind of foot in the door to start to bring some of that sense of adventure to life.
Yeah. No, I love it. This is great. And I do want to go over to remind people to go visit 368.com.
Mm-hmm.
And both of you are welcome to stay for the second half, by the way, if you want. We'll bring Miquel in here in a second. But I mean, look at how nice. Oh my gosh. So good. So good. And again, a reminder that you are B Corp, which is fantastic. That's a fairly recent development. So
yeah,
it is.
Kudos on that. So I do encourage everybody to go to 368.com. You're free to stay. You're free to go. We bring Miquel in from Madrid.
Hey, Miquel.
Worldwide.
Hey, guys.
Baton Rouge to Madrid.
Miquel.
Oh, my gosh.
What's up, man?
All right.
I must confess that I had a crush on Lara Croft when I was a teenager.
You had a crush on Lara Croft. Okay.
Yeah, on the video game character, not on Angelina Jolie.
I don't think you're alone in that, I think
Oh my God, so good. So Miquel, Espadaysantacruz Studio. Should I start with the video, or do you want to set it up? Because what we're going to be talking about today is a new approach and new techniques related to AI in production. There's a lot of them out there, but this work that we're about to see is beautiful. And here's the thing: when I first saw it, Miquel, I don't want to say there is a like Spanish like vibe or design, but I was like, that's Southern Europe. Like I can feel that feels Spanish, Portuguese, Italian. I'm half Italian, so I'm like, no, it's not really Italian. But there is a sensibility in Spanish design, in Spanish production, in Spanish animation that is so unique and awesome. So when I first saw this, I was obviously blown away. But we are going to talk about some of the techniques. So Miquel, why don't you set us up on the background of this piece and this story, and then we'll show it.
Of course, I think it's better to give a little bit of context. So, well, we've been working with AI, automation, robotics for years, no more than 10 years, much before this big explosion of generative AI. So that the big explosion It's been in the last couple of years, not even that, like 1.5 years. No, remember, ChatGPT has only 1 year, is 1 year old.
Right.
So we were used to train our own AIs, our own models, creating workflow for our clients. So we were really on the community of creative AI. But now there are like tons of tools that are incredible, but somehow everything feels the same. So nothing feels special anymore. For one side, it's great because everyone can access to the tools and create their own things. But at the end, we are just seeing AI memes on the social networks. So we always want to create like a specific workflows for our clients to feel our clients special, because they are, no? And one thing that we love is to mix super digital AI techniques with traditional techniques like physical animation, traditional animation. And in this particular case, what we wanted is to use like something super basic, like that is like physical items, and create the animation with the physical items and use AI to give this kind of wonder and magic. And this is why we talk with Universal Robots, that I'm gonna like give more a deeper explanation of what was the brief later. But the idea is that in order to create some like nice, beautiful storytelling, we wanted to combine two big techniques, like the AI hallucinations with something very traditional, very physical, very like analog technique.
Yeah, and again, I think, this is Universal Robots, but also Special Guest X, new member, special guest, love them. Aaron Duffy, shout out to you and your team. So tell us about the story, though, because we are following a narrative in this film. Because it's about a boy because I'll botch it. So tell us what the story is, and then we'll go ahead and play it.
Yeah, the story is something so beautiful and so simple. It's a bathtub that is in love with a boat, and one day decide to meet the boat and travels around the night through the forest to the sea until the bathtub, he or she, we don't know what is the gender, meets his lover. So it's just a nice love story between a bathtub and a boat.
Okay.
Something super simple.
Yes. Now that storyline sounds French. All right, hold on. All right, let's take a look at this. This is gorgeous.
Special Guest X and Universal Robots have created an innovative animation technique that combines automation and AI. Every element of the story has been animated by an industrial robot on a green screen. More than 100 perfectly choreographed movements. All animations have been composed into a single film. The result has been processed using AI to create a magical movie. We present Wet Love, a true love story between a bathtub and a boat.
So I love, yes, absolutely. Absolutely applause. I mean, you had said something, Miquel, that was, so I want to ask you about the brief here in a second, but and I've said this before, and you said this earlier, and Jerb and Adrian, feel free to jump in on this. There is this sea of sameness that we see. Not only was that sentence alliterative, but it's true. And so what I love is that you put this, because you're looking at this and you realize this is really beautiful. It's in this interesting middle ground where I know it's not all, it just feels handcrafted. And it's beautiful. I mean, it's really beautiful. But the most important thing is being able to demonstrate the importance of building this type of craft, because sometimes we forget about craft and we move too quickly. But I loved that you included the behind the scenes on this. So Miquel, give us a little bit of the background on what the brief is and why this project is out there.
Yeah. Well, so Universal Robots is a Danish company. They build what they call cobots. They are collaborative robots, and there's this kind of robots that are like super easy to use, super safe. And we all know this debate that people said that robots and AI is gonna get our jobs, and they're gonna like destroy humanity, and which is not true, obviously. So they always want to. So these collaborative robots, they are super gentle. So when you open one of the robots in like 5 minutes, you can make them work. You don't need to know programming or anything. So it's like super simple. It's almost a industrial toy.
Right.
And they sell the robots for to build cars or for pharma, but they are always like looking to embrace creative projects. And the brief here was nothing. Was like, we are used to work with like big projects for big clients, for Coke, for Meta,
Sure.
for IBM. But in this case, it's like, no, this is a small project. You are free to do whatever. So you should embrace AI and robotics in a very nice way, in a gentle way.
Yep.
So this is why we decided to do like a love story, because there's nothing more gentle and more like nice than love story,
Right. No, I love that. Adrian, Jerb, do you have any questions? Because I'm going to pop the studio site up here. So questions, comments? Adrian.
I was going to let, it looked like Jeremy was about to ask
No,
something.
I was just going to say, great work.
Yeah.
It made me feel something, which is what's so often missing in what we see today.
Yep.
Yeah. Evocative, for sure.
Miquel, what again? I think that looking at Spain and in your career, what do you bring creatively that from your Spanish upbringing, being in Madrid? What are some of the things that you bring in creatively? Because I do believe that Spanish creativity is very universal. Right? I do think that Spanish creativity has an accessibility, but it's just like, it's just over there, but it's like, yeah, I get it. Talk about Spanish design, Spanish influences, and Spanish creativity, and why it's just always so good.
Yeah, this is a very good question. And maybe me, being Spanish, I'm not the right person to answer that. But what I feel is that we are very rooted in the essentials of design and craft. We like materiality of things, and so the Spanish character is not like forgive me for the expression. We are not like selling bullshit. So we are clear. We are honest. We don't use like big words. We are humble, but very down to earth. So, and I think this is the reason many of the Spanish works are deep. No, like you see even like music videos or advertising, traditional advertising, they have like deep roots. No, it's not like just it's not just the facade. No, so
Right.
they are something like deeper.
Yeah. No, I get that. I mean, because Spanish art, if you look at it, is deeply rooted in that as well. I mean, Picasso being one that I think we all know, but also but even in architecture and even urban planning and everything about it is just, it's always so interesting. It's always so interesting. I also want to make sure that we do give a shout out to our friends. Let me just make sure I got the right one here. Hold on. Where did Special Guest X go? All right. So again, shout out Aaron Duffy. Thank you so much. So Special Guest is the, the agency, wonderful agency. Do watch the Meet and Indie agency with them. I love that there is an experimental space happening with Special Guest X. Because Miquel and everybody, Adrian and I'm just going to call you Jerb because that's your name on there. I know your name's Jeremy, but and this is a question for everybody. Talk about the importance of experimentation, especially now, because there is so much noise around technology, particularly AI. But being able to demonstrate that to an existing client, being able to demonstrate that in a pitch, the importance of experimenting in a thoughtful way, because it can be very easy just to do it for the sake of doing it. But when I look at, at this project that Miquel did, it reminds me of some of, like, in the Nordics too. They've always, in the B2B space in particular, they've found these really interesting ways to storytell and to demonstrate in a way that's really, really unique. But I do like this. ChatGPT, happy first birthday. And then this, go to specialguestx.com, because this, and from First Avenue Machine, take a look at this thing, this physical device for video editing generated by, it's pretty cool. It's actually not pretty cool. It's very cool. But this idea of experimenting, if I'm a client, let me put client hat on. I'm giving you a lot of money and you're sitting there playing with this AI stuff. Why should I worry about this AI stuff? What would you say about the importance of experimenting for the sake of helping clients and brands?
Yeah, this is a super fun question, no? And I think the idea is that that the big companies are based on innovation. So they transform their businesses using innovation in tech and in processes and the way they work. No, and you look to the top most important companies, innovation is the key part of that of the companies. But sometimes this innovation is not applied to communication, so they have like huge innovation budgets to reinvent their businesses, but they do communication in a very traditional way, like writing a script, like an art director, whatever, a shooting. And if you are using innovation in your company, you should use innovation in your communication. So for me, it's clear. It's like, if you want to use AI, data, cloud computing, automation in your core business, why you don't use that in your communication? It's like, connect the dots. This is so important. And also in Special Guest X, more than the 75% of the team has tech background. Even if they come from art, they know about creative coding. Like the lead of accounts comes from architecture, so we know how that, like, science, engineering, architecture works, and it's not a straight line when you're like doing it. And well, we started this culture of that every project starts with a research phase, so we don't start a project if we don't have a research.
Wow. I mean,
I don't know.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Yeah, and because now in this world that every month, every day, there are new things. If you don't research, you are gonna do something that is old. So I don't want to sell like all things.
Yep. Adrian Gerb, I don't know about you, but I'm getting my donation to the Church of Espada ready. The Church of Miquel. But talk about your experiences with AI.
Yeah. So I can kind of tee it up. One thing I'll say, I read an interesting stat the other day that said 85% of leaders in organizations, executive management and higher, 85% are actively using AI on a weekly basis. Less than 30% of teams broadly below the leadership level are leveraging AI. So there's a big disconnect, I think, between the people leading the work and the people doing the work, that we've got to close that gap, right? But on Tomb Raider, it was really interesting when they came back to us the second time. Of course, the timeline hadn't changed, right? So we had a significantly condensed timeline to still execute on a really ambitious scope of work. And part of the conversation we came into that with was we would, to do this, we really need to be using generative AI. And I can let Jeremy talk a little bit about that process, because it was something we immediately jumped into and started playing with. But then, because this is such a, highly visible, protected IP franchise, when it really came down to finalizing contracting, we had to guarantee what they refer to as organic provenance of everything. So we couldn't move forward with a lot of the work we'd proposed. And so then it was a scramble to say, how do we still execute at this scale using what I think are going to be seen as old school tools in the near future, right? Like, I think the near future is embracing all of these AI tools, but right now it's still so new and so murky in terms of ownership and in terms of provenance and all of that. So Jeremy, is there anything you want to add about just kind of the approach that we've taken there?
I mean, I guess I'll just say that what I learned through that process is we generated over 4,000 images for that project in an attempt to establish art direction. So when even after learning
to establish direction,
it was a strange situation, because we originally pitched against some AI generated concepts.
Okay, got it.
We could move forward with some of that, and that was the tone of the conversation. Then, of course, there's all this gray area. Well, is this original? Is this derivative? Is this ripping someone off? All these questions are out there. And the legal team essentially said, we don't want to take that risk. And then the brand team said, we also don't want to betray the integrity of the brand. So we're going to do original art. So then we pivoted to using AI to try to communicate what we needed from their art team.
And that's a brilliant use of it.
And that is where I think it really shines, is it gets you 80% of the way there, and then you can iterate off of that.
That's okay. Because here's the thing. It's like everyone is looking at this as a binary thing. Like, you either do it or you don't. It's like, no, you use it for this, and then you do this, and then it's so okay. All right, listen, we can go another 10 hours.
We've done it. Quick side note, we've done it for experiential type projects where you're doing a physical space, and it really works well there, because you can just imagine, making a beehive that's 100 feet tall that people can walk through, and you can start to visualize these really abstract ideas and interface with clients or stakeholders who don't have that creative context. So it works well in those situations.
That's so true. It accelerates understanding.
Yeah, exactly. Great way to put it.
All right. So I did notice your Liquid Death shirt. So do you want to say hi to Andy Pearson and Mike?
Hey, Andy.
You want to say hi?
Love you, man.
Let me see the rest of that shirt. Let me see the rest of that.
We do love you.
Oh, it's okay. Yeah, it's sort of. Yep. Got it. That's solid. Adrian has committed to the Louisiana Indie AF bucket hat. Thank you for that.
I will be.
Yeah. Miquel, I will see you over in Europe. So
for sure.
Yeah. Unfortunately, unfortunately, I'll show up in Spain again at some point. But to all three of you, thank you so much. This was a fascinating discussion, and I love the fact that we started in one place. We were able to bring everybody together. Number one, to meet each other, but also a chance to learn more about your work, about your agencies, about your studios, and about just, it's just good to be indie. It's good to be indie. I'm going to put all three of you backstage, but thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks, Doug.
Don't go away. Don't hang up. Don't hang up. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us. Yeah, loved that discussion. I think we could probably go a million miles on that one. So definitely more to come. So thank you to all of our guests. Thank you to all of our members of Indie Agency News. We appreciate your support and joining this mission. To learn more, go to indieagency.news. On behalf of everybody at Indie Agency News, Doug Zanger. Catch you later.